Great. Well, hi, everybody. Thank you again for joining our mastermind this month. I'm super excited for the topic we have today. I think the power of storytelling for your social media marketing is so important, especially with the many changes that we're going to be facing this year as real estate agents. But a little bit about me. My name is Catherine Friedman. I've been in real estate here in New York City since 2018, and then I started full time summer of 2019. I am with EXP Realty. I had worked at two other firms in New York City prior to that, but I host these masterminds once a month. And I basically focus on topics that I think will help me grow my business. And I started marketing these out to other agents in New York City and across the country. So if you want to chat with me a bit more and learn about my business and what I am up to, I'll be where you can learn more about partnering with me. But with that said, I will hand it off to Kendra Pete, who is going to be our guest speaker for the day and is an absolute expert in digital marketing.
Thank you, Kat. Hi, everyone. As Kat mentioned, my name is Kendra Pete. Just a quick disclaimer, my camera is off just because I am a little camera shy and I will get inside of my head if I can see myself while I'm speaking. So it's off right now, but towards the end, I may cut it on once I get it a little more into my zen. So to open up, I would like to start with a story. So Holly Frew is a single mom in Atlanta, and she's been casually searching for a new home for her and her 2-year-old daughter for some months now. She's been working to save up for her down payment, but she's been juggling these inflated food prices, high daycare costs, and so many other financial burdens that it's becoming almost unrealistic for her to find a home. And now she's realizing that her timeline has drastically shifted. And she's wondering whether or not she should be rushing into deals to try to get a home before July, or if she should wait and see how the market unfolds after July, since now she knows there's a possibility that she may have to pay her agent out of pocket, which will increase her financial burdens even more. So why am I sharing this story? It's not about the NAR settlement. It's about understanding the emotional roller coaster that your clients may be riding right now. If you truly want to connect with your clients in a way that goes beyond transactions, it's all about embracing empathy. Because as a real estate agent, you know your role isn't just to sell houses. It's to guide people through one of the most significant decisions of their lives. And by embracing storytelling, you can understand the emotional impact of market conditions, and you can build stronger connections with your clients to help them navigate these uncertain times with confidence. So today we're going to look at what it looks like to be not just an agent or a trusted advisor, but how to be a compassionate ally on your client's journey, and how you can use storytelling to build community and connect with potential clients online, as well as remain top of mind. And let's be honest, we're doing all of these things to primarily serve two main purposes. Number one, help your clients fulfill their dreams. And number two, help you achieve your business goals. So first and foremost, I want to start by thanking Kat and you all for extending an invitation to me today. I'm very grateful to be in the same virtual space as you all today, and I'm eager to dive into this convo because whenever I speak about storytelling and marketing with sales-oriented professionals, such as real estate agents, it's like I could see the exact moment whenever the light bulb goes off. And it's like they realize, oh, wait, this is how you take your marketing from sounding really transactional to making it more emotional, which what we're really saying is this is how you're going to make your marketing more human. And my intentions today are for you to have that same light bulb go off. So let's kind of set the stage. We hear it all the time. Attention spans are short. They're shorter than ever. And then, especially considering the clutter of content and marketing messaging that's everywhere you turn, there's so much going on. But there's still one thing that still cuts through the noise, and that's emotions. And what I mean by emotions, I mean leveraging them in your marketing to tap into the feelings and thoughts of your clients, to show them that you understand them and also that you care about them. Because studies and research has shown that people only care about brands that show that they care about them first. And so whenever your marketing is based on emotions and you combine that with storytelling, it's like the most powerful tool in your arsenal to do exactly that. And emotional marketing and using emotions in advertising, this is not a trend, it's a necessity, and it's nothing new. Crafting campaigns that are rooted in emotions and feelings to drive sales, this is something that predates modern advertising. Even in the ancient civilization times, sellers understood the power of emotional connection. They'd use storytelling to build trust and positive associations with their goods. So just imagine someone way back then, this salesperson in the middle of the street, and they're talking about the security of a well-made spear, or they're highlighting the beauty of a handcrafted vase. Now we fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, where mass production created this wider need for wider marketing. And you start seeing early advertisements in newspapers and posters start relying on emotional appeals like nostalgia, patriotism, or fear of missing out to create a connection with consumers and influence their purchasing decisions. And now going to the 20th century and beyond, we see a rise in psychology impacting marketing. And marketers begin to understand human emotions and motivations better. And this led to the development of targeted campaigns that spoke more specifically to very specific desires, fears, and aspirations of their consumers. So even though all of these methods of marketing and advertising and promoting yourself has become more sophisticated thanks to all of the different data and all of the advanced technologies, there's still one core principle that remains the same. And that is connect with people on an emotional level to make your message resonate. So just to give a little bit of background about myself and what gives me credibility to talk about this topic in the first place, I had a very odd start to storytelling. I remember to this day, it was my first internship in college, and I was tasked with writing an article from a daughter-in-law's perspective on how to win over your mother-in-law. Now, just to give you some context, I was 19 at the time. I was single as single can be, and I've never been a daughter-in-law or a mother-in-law, but yet I knew I could speak on this topic. And I remember whenever the editor shared the link with me, once the article went live, I shared it with my mom, and she must have read like the first 3 words because she called me ASAP, and she was like, "Little girl, what the hell do you know about being a daughter-in-law or a mother-in-law? Like, you've never been either one of those things." And we both kind of laughed, but the truth of it was I didn't need to be either one of those things to understand what they may be feeling or what they may be thinking. And that's how I got my introduction into online storytelling and really understanding how to craft messaging specifically for niche audiences to resonate with them the most. Fast forward a decade, I get a ton of marketing communication experience, from marketing to advertising to PR, sales, and promotions. And I've not only seen the transformative power of stories firsthand, but I've also helped countless businesses across industries leverage the art of storytelling to engage their audiences authentically and ultimately help them drive meaningful results. And that's what we're here to do today, to show you how to do the same thing in the world of real estate. So first things first, why do emotions and stories matter in marketing? Well, short answer is they help us connect with properties on a deeper level. So from a buyer's perspective, the facts, the figures, the functions, the features of all of the property, all that information is needed, yes. But there's one profound truth that is often overlooked when it comes to marketing. And that truth is features and functionalities don't captivate us the most. It's the stories that are woven into the properties directly and indirectly, and the stories associated with the experience you provide as an agent that speaks to your potential clients the most and has the greatest influence on their decisions. Yes, logic says comps and locations are the deal breaker for clients. Those are definitely top priority. But when you pause and you really think about what's really driving their decision on the comps and the locations that they're choosing, it's all basically based on factors that are rooted in some sort of emotion. I want to live in this area because I want to raise my kids a certain way. I want to live in this style of home because my husband and I have always saw ourselves living this way, and so on and so forth. These are examples of emotions that are tied to the desires and challenges that are ultimately determining those comps and the location that they choose, especially whenever cost isn't as huge of a factor. So the second reason why emotions and stories matter is because features are forgettable, but stories, that's something that lingers on. And that's because it sparks this connection that goes way beyond the numbers and those features that we were talking about. So in the right-hand corner right here, you can see a video snapshot. It's a TikTok video of an agent. And basically, this agent told a story about how she has this new listing, and the owners were very adamant about whoever buys this home, they have to take the cat with it. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to actually play the video, but the thing is, she could have easily just posted a video with doing a property tour or something like that, listing out all the different features and things like that, and then casually mention that a cat comes along with the house. But she probably knows that this cat is probably going to be a deal breaker for some clients, but it also could be the main reason why a client would want to be interested in that home. So she creates this whole story around it. Now, the next reason why the emotions and the stories matter is because this is all science backed. Science has proven the power of emotions in decision making. Behavioral scientists have reported that our emotional reactions are 3,000 times quicker than rational thought. Neuroscientists have reported that compelling narratives can impact our attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors. It can even heighten
Oh, God.
it can even heighten our empathy by triggering the release of oxytocin in our brain. So there's actual chemical reactions that we're experiencing as we're hearing these different stories. There's brain scans that show that whenever we're evaluating brands, we're primarily basing our opinions on emotions, our personal feelings and experiences, rather than information or of brand features or facts. So all of this really just means emotions significantly impact our purchasing decisions, and oftentimes before logic even kicks in. So how does this really benefit you as an agent? Because this all kind of can sound like fluff really easily. So let's make this a little more tangible. Going back to the example of the lady who told the story about the cat in the house, on her post, she saw increased engagement. And in general, what you could see as an agent is brand recall, because stories are more memorable than dry listings. So because she didn't just talk about the property how an agent would probably normally talk about it, and she told a story about it, people who find this post will likely remember her. If they don't remember her name, they're going to remember her as the lady who had the house with the cat. It's more memorable. She's also able to build stronger client connections, build trust and rapport by creating this personal bond. And you could kind of see that in some of the comments that were left on her post. One person asked, how much is the home? So you can see that it does help generate leads. But then you also have other engagement, like people saying, well, I don't need a house, but I'll take the cat. Some other people were saying, a house with the cat is a win. So you can see that the engagement and the messaging resonates with different type of people within various contexts, and that's the power, or the beginning of the power of incorporating storytelling into your marketing. So again, given that tangible benefit of storytelling, how do you measure the impact? Well, these on the screen are just a few examples of how you can track the success and the effectiveness of the storytelling in your marketing: website traffic, the number of leads, your conversion rate, closings. These are just examples, but ultimately the key performance indicators you choose will be based on your overall goals and objectives. So let's actually get down to what is storytelling, how do we do it, and how do we incorporate it into our marketing? Well, first things first, let's just kind of spell out what storytelling isn't. And it's not you necessarily sharing your entire life story. There may be moments where there's an opportunity for you to do that, and it's appropriate for you to do that. But essentially, storytelling and marketing doesn't mean that you're sharing your entire life story. What it is about is just basically crafting messages that resonate with your audience. And the best way for you to do that is to be authentic and relatable. And I know that you've probably heard this before because it's true. Simply being yourself and focusing on your ideal client, understanding them and knowing how to speak to whatever their desires and pain points are. That's how you're going to build a successful marketing campaign that's rooted in storytelling. And why is that? Because people ultimately connect with real people. They want to know you're a genuine person. They want to know that you genuinely understand them and you genuinely care about them. So this is how you start getting into the heads and the hearts of your clients. Because whenever you understand their perspective, which is what they're thinking, feeling, experiencing, you can start creating the content, the marketing campaigns, and that overall client and brand experience that truly resonates with them. So, what does this look like? Well, if you're starting off by saying, how do I tell my story? Or what story should I be telling? You're already kind of starting off on the wrong foot. So take a step back and instead ask yourself first, what's my client's story? And how do I align with them to provide value? And when I say your client's story, I'm not saying just this one overarching story or this overarching theme. It's more about the story of the different moments that they experience all throughout their home buying or selling journey. And this is because successful marketers know that when it comes down to marketing and messaging, it has nothing to do with your company or your brand. It's all about your clients and your customers and your community and how your visions and values align with theirs. That's it. That's all. So now we're going to start kind of putting this into practice. So if anyone would like to participate, I asked for you to share a snippet about yourself or a fun fact in the chat section, and I'll weave those details into a narrative that could connect with your client's story to give you a more realistic example of how this works and what it could look like for you. And I'll give you a few minutes to type something in the chat. You're basically just sharing, like I said, a little snippet about yourself or a fun fact about yourself.
If anyone wants to share it in the chat or just unmute yourself and quickly want to share something, either way works. All right, I'll share, Kendra.
Okay.
I think part of my story that's somewhat personal is I started in real estate in 2018, but then I went full time into the business summer of 2019. And then, like 6 or 8 months later, I was quarantined in Manhattan. And it was just such a crazy time because Manhattan didn't see this upswing that the rest of the country saw with housing prices and all of that. We were very much locked down, and a lot of transactions were, just declined entirely. Prices didn't, move a lot. We just didn't have as much activity until after the city was opened up. And I think that that story of just getting through that time and still finding a way to grow my business during the quarantine and then coming out, for the better in 2021 being such a great year. I'm sure there's a story that I could be sharing and connecting with clients on that I honestly don't talk about all that much.
Cool. That's a really good example, and an easy example to plug in also. So there's several ways you can tie that into different client stories. The first one that comes to mind is a first time home buyer. So the overall message of your story is, I started something new. It wasn't necessarily the right time to do it, but I really wanted to do it, so I did it anyway. Didn't give up, and now I'm successful. So, from a first time home buyer's perspective, maybe your potential client is in the market right now or was once in the market, but they're discouraged because they were submitting a lot of competitive offers on homes, on a lot of different homes, but they still haven't yet closed. So now they're debating on whether or not they even want to continue this journey or not. So, just a quick example of how you could tie the two together, it could start off by saying something like, if you're in the market right now and you've been submitting tons of offers and you still haven't gotten to the closing table, don't give up. Keep going. It may seem like the market is in the right time, things aren't turning around for you, but I guarantee you, if you keep pushing, it's going to happen. When I first started real estate, COVID hit. 6 months in as a new agent, COVID hit. I barely knew anything about marketing, and now I was forced to kind of basically shift my whole business model to digital marketing only. But fast forward 2 years, I stuck to it. Here we are today, and now that's like my main competitive advantage. So keep pushing, don't give up. Blase, blase, blah. That's just a quick example of how you could tie the two together without really overdoing it and making it sound very natural and all through a connected theme. So going on to next part of it. So how do you start telling your client's story? It starts by you first understanding your client, your target audience. And how you do this is by listening to them, because they're probably already telling you a lot of things that you could be incorporating into your marketing. And they're telling you these things, like their dreams and pain points, through conversations that you all are having, maybe through comments on your social media posts, maybe client surveys or feedback surveys or client intake forms, all the different touch points you already have in place to stay connected and stay in communication with your client. Those are the first channels you should be turning to start understanding who your ideal clients are and how you can better connect with them, align with them, and provide the value that they're seeking. The next thing you want to do is build a client persona. And really, the client persona is the first thing that you're doing. But when you listen to your clients and you leverage data, that's really how you build the client persona. So, a client persona has many different names. You might have heard customer avatar, ideal client, target audience. All of those things are the same. You're basically saying that you are creating this fictitious character that's based on these real characteristics of your ideal client. And then the last thing you want to do in order to build those personas accurately is you want to look to data, and you want to leverage different types of data. Quantitative data is going to be the data that's very numbers driven. And the qualitative data is going to speak more to your client's personalities and characteristic traits. And all of these types of data points give you a more holistic view of who your clients are. And that's why you need both types. So, examples of data that you could be using outside of demographics, which is what we're most accustomed to seeing, there's something called psychographics, firmographics, behavioral data, and transactional data. So for the demographics, that's your basic observable characteristics. So the age of your client, gender, marital status, number of children, and so on and so forth. That's the most basic information you should be able to get, and is the easiest to assess without having to do a real big deep dive. The next example is psychographics, and these are basically the personality traits that influence our behavior and our decisions. So that's your values, their lifestyle, their interests, their musical taste. And on the screen, you can see examples of what that may be for your ideal client. Then you have firmographics. This is something that's similar to demographics, but for your purposes, you would basically be focusing on the characteristics of the organizations where they work. So the company name, the industry, the company size, the office location. And how would this information be beneficial to you? Let's just say hypothetically that you're looking to start doing more sponsorships and start sponsoring more events. If you know that your ideal client is in the technology industry, now you already have a jump start on what type of events you should be sponsoring to make sure that you're positioning yourself right in front of your ideal client. Then you also have behavioral data, and this is basically records of a person's actions and interactions. So that could be their website visits, the clicks and conversions, whether or not they're downloading brochures or booking those consultation calls, and whatever social media engagement they be doing online. Maybe they're showing interest in different properties that you're showing. That's an example of behavioral data that you can pay attention to. And then lastly, you have transactional data. And for your purposes, this would be details about financial transactions that are regarding real estate specifically. So their past purchases and sales, their financing status, their rental history, their property viewing history. Again, all of these different types of data points are to help you get a holistic view of who your client is and how you can make sure that you're positioning yourself right in front of them at the right place, the right time, with the right message. So where do you go to find all of this information? There's tons of free places and platforms, as well as some paid resources that you can use to understand your target audience. Some examples that I have are census data. You can look to your social media analytics. You can look at Google Analytics for your website, client forms, local news websites, Google Trends, Facebook groups, Nextdoor, and then, of course, industry related platforms and publications that share trends and market reports, case studies, that type of thing. There's a plethora of places that you could be going to find this information. The main thing is to make sure that you're paying attention to relevant data, because all data isn't treated the same, and you're incorporating it within your strategy for your marketing. So what's next? You now understand that you need to understand your target audience, and you know where to go to find that information to better understand them. But how do you start connecting those dots? First, it's going to depend on your brand and your audience, of course, because there's no one right way to tell a story. It's all about what's going to resonate most with them, and also still be in alignment with who you represent, what you represent as a brand and business. So you want to start focusing on the why as a very rough starting point. Just start asking yourself why regarding everything about your client. Why are they in the market? Why are they choosing this location? Why is this the square footage they're going for? That one word why is how you start unlocking the main drivers behind their decisions. But once you're ready to move beyond that why, I created a basic framework called the 4 P's of emotive marketing to give you an easy way to start understanding your clients and kind of give you a jump start to create marketing that connects with them and feels more real to them. And just to clarify, whenever I say emotive marketing, I'm not saying that as if it's an actual subcategory of marketing. It's really just a description of the type of marketing that it's emphasizing. So I'm saying that it's based and rooted in emotions. So going into the 4 P's, you want to focus on your clients' passions, pain points, the people that are most influential to them, and their pursuits. So, for example, when it comes to passions, what do they love? What do they get most excited about? And you want to think of this in the context of real estate. So, when it comes to homes, and outside the context of real estate. So, in general. And the reason you want to do it in both of those contexts is because, one, yes, whenever you speak about real estate, that helps draw a closer connection to you, potentially getting them as a client. But realistically, your potential clients aren't researching real estate topics all day. That's something that you probably do because that's your profession, that's your passion, but that's not what they're doing. So you have to think about what's their passions outside of real estate to really expand your reach and make sure that you're getting in front of your potential client. So an example off to the right here is Alexis. She's based out of New Orleans. We follow each other online on TikTok. And she created a post about an upcoming jazz fest. And why would this be beneficial to her potential client? Maybe. Well, first of all, if you know anything about New Orleans culture, you know that New Orleans is like the birthplace of jazz. So for a jazz enthusiast, going to a jazz concert or some type of jazz event, especially in New Orleans, is very attractive. So she's speaking directly to a potential client who really enjoys jazz or just enjoys that New Orleans environment. The next video is another agent. She's based out of Idaho. And she basically shared this DIY project that she did with these peel and stick floor tiles. Now, this one is real estate related. Why is this one? Why would this resonate with her potential clients? Well, when you think about what clients do whenever they buy a home, the first thing that they're thinking of is, how am I going to make this home my home? And for those DIY enthusiasts, these different projects are the way that they do that. So by her sharing her passion for DIY projects, it helps her build this personal bond or this connection with people who also have that same passion that may eventually be looking to buy a home in her area, or may know someone who's looking for a home and may think of her to refer her to that person. So next P, pain points. Ask what's keeping your clients from achieving their goals, because that's essentially what a pain point is. And pain points are these challenges that are really opportunities for you as the agent to position yourself as that expert. So these two examples are both real estate related. The first one was the agent basically talking about how she has a client that was going to let a random place toilet keep them from buying the home. Now, that may seem like a very random and very specific message for this agent to share, but if we look at it conceptually, what she's really communicating to people, and she mentions this towards the end of her video, it's about being too picky. How many clients have you helped who are looking to buy a home and they were hella picky to the point to where they limited their options, exhausted all their options almost? She was basically giving them a gentle reminder that, look, I understand that you have criteria, but you don't want to miss out on your dream home just because you're being too picky. And that's a pain point. They know that their pickiness can keep them from achieving their goal. The next example is from another agent who basically was speaking about how the market is picking back up and how they're starting to see a lot more offers on homes come in a lot faster. And she told this story about how she had to pull over on the side of the road to quickly submit an offer for her clients so they didn't miss out on the opportunity. So what's the pain point here? Well, if I'm a home buyer, I really don't want to have to compete for my home. I don't want to have to rush to try to submit an offer. So her video will resonate with me because she's sharing some tips on how I can potentially avoid that situation. When it comes to talking about the people in their life, you're really thinking about the people that they love the most, that matter the most to them, and who are influencing their buying decisions. So that's friends, that's family, that's children specifically. It could be your spouse, financial advisor, so on and so forth. In this example, this agent did something that was non-real estate related, but she got over 1 million views on this video, and it's her most engaged, best performing post to date. And she basically just did this rating scenario with her teenage daughter, where her teenage daughter gave her honest opinion of all of her mom's teenage crushes. Now, why does this resonate? Well, one, I'm sure there's tons of parents out there who can relate to having moments with their kids where their kids literally think their parents were tripping when they were young because of the things that they liked to do and the crushes they had and so forth, so on and so forth. And this ties back to that theme of nostalgia that I mentioned, and how nostalgia has been proven to have these emotional links to our personal experiences and how that influences our decisions. Now, although this post isn't directly related to real estate, it put her in a position to be exposed to thousands of more people that she probably would have never gotten in front of had she only stuck to posting about real estate content. And then this last example, pursuits, you're basically saying, what are my clients aspiring to do? What are they working towards? So that could be personal goals, interests, hobbies they have, or that could be professional goals about school or their career. And in this example, this agent basically posted a property tour, but the title of the video basically created this point of view for the potential client. And it was basically telling them, this could be your dream house if you stayed consistent for 12 months. Now, that specific messaging, stayed consistent for 12 months, that could apply to any goal someone could have regarding being consistent. So maybe your potential clients are looking to switch careers, okay? They need to stay consistent in order to get that certification to switch careers. And they're switching careers because they want to increase their income to be able to buy their dream home. That's an example, an easy example of how you can be speaking to their different goals that they may have. So there are some marketing templates that I am finishing up, and I will be sending over to Kat so she can share that with you all. And these templates will basically recap what we covered today. So one of them will be a worksheet that will cover the 4 P's of the emotive marketing, but it'll give you some more action steps to help you start creating actual content that you can implement immediately. I'll also be sharing a worksheet that will help you identify your ideal client and build that client persona based on those different data points that I showed you. And I'll also be sharing another marketing template that you can use for farming or social media marketing purposes that you can basically edit and tweak a little bit and then implement immediately. But before we wrap up, we'll cover one more aspect, and that's going beyond storytelling to start building the community and staying top of mind. And these are basically going to be gentle reminders because a lot of this you've already heard. And I'm sharing it again because on average, a person must hear marketing messages at least 7 times, sometimes up to 11 times before they actually take action. So hopefully these reminders will get you much closer to taking the action if you haven't already. So first things first, in order to build a community, there has to be a reason why people are coming to you in the first place. And considering that you're an agent and what you do is hyper local, you need to be the local expert. You've heard this before, but think outside of the box. Think beyond the market updates. Although those are very relevant and very effective, you can still be more creative. Think about partnering with other local realtors who specialize in different property types. Maybe you could do a joint live Q&A session or a content series that's called the Neighborhood Showdown. And you all just highlight the different pros and cons of the different areas that you cover. Or maybe you can do this live from such and such business session where you're basically going live from different local businesses throughout the areas that you serve. So that could be a coffee shop, or it could be a live music event at a local public venue. Of course, whatever it is that you're doing, you want to make sure that it's something that actually is going to appeal to your clients. And the benefit of this is obvious. There's cross promotion for you and whoever you're partnering with. But this is how you start building that community, especially when you're partnering with industry peers. When you think about it, a lot of from a consumer stance, most brands have the same consumers. Just think about, let's say, if you're a woman and you wear makeup, think about all the different brands that are in your makeup bag right now. You have one go-to brand for lipstick, maybe one for mascara, and so on and so forth. That's how consumers kind of think and operate overall in general. So whereas you may think that some of these industry peers or your competitors, realistically, they're really your collaborators because your potential clients might be going to each of you for different reasons. Next thing you want to do is embrace video content. Won't go too much into that because I know you've heard this time and time again. But one example I want to bring up is going beyond generic email blasts. You could be leveraging personalized video messages to build deeper connections with your clients. So instead of just congratulating them on their closing, you could be sending personalized video messages via text or via email for their birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, and any other type of big life events, or whatever you think will, or know based on data, will enhance your client's experience. You also want to foster this two-way connection, this two-way communication in order to build community. So that means you need to be responding to comments and messages promptly and thoughtfully across all platforms, because this shows your clients that you actually value their engagement. You can also be running contests and giveaways, though, to start getting some two-way communication there. So think of maybe giving away a free home staging consultation or a home improvement basket, a weekend staycation at a local bed and breakfast, or game day tickets. And this is something that you could run publicly on social media, or you could do it privately and exclusively only for your clients, whether it be past clients, current clients, or potential clients. And then you also know that you have to be consistent, not just in terms of posting regularly, but within your brand identity also. So you want to make sure that your messaging is consistent, the visuals that you're using are consistent, and the color palettes that you're using are consistent. So you can start becoming more recognizable when people see your content online and your marketing anywhere, really, and recognize you and remember you a lot faster. And then so far as for nurturing clients to stay top of mind, personalized email and SMS text messaging campaigns are the most effective. And when I say personalized, this means just segmenting your email list and creating targeted campaigns based on your clients' needs, based on where they are in their journey. So you're sending targeted messages to first-time home buyers. Maybe it's a motivational message. Maybe it's a recent news article about a first-time home buyer in the area who saw a huge success or saw maybe a failure somewhat. And maybe it's relevant because you were just warning your client about this very thing. These are examples of how you can create targeted messaging for segmented email lists. And then, of course, again, share your relevant market updates, because those are very effective as well. So far as for social media interaction, you want to make sure that you're liking and commenting on your past clients' posts to show them that you're still thinking of them. But you can also share positive testimonials or even share recent home improvement projects of your clients on your social media. And how does their home improvement projects relate to you? Well, again, when you think about whenever a client buys a home, the first thing they want to do is make it their home. So your messaging can be tied to, this is how you start making your home a home. So glad to see my clients finally getting settled in. There's so many ways that you can spin that. And then also offering free valuable resources. These are known as lead magnets, downloadable guides, checklists, interactive quizzes. These are all things that a lot of agents are starting to offer more. So in order for you to stand out, you must look at the data that you're pulling and think back to those conversations that you've been having to make sure that you are extremely aligned and super specific and tailored to whatever it is that your client is seeking to gain from whatever resource that you're sharing. And to wrap up, the overall key takeaways that I would like for you to remember, if you don't remember anything else, is that one, emotions significantly influence our buying decisions. That's why they must be incorporated in your marketing. Two, you can leverage storytelling and create marketing that connects by focusing on the why behind your clients' decisions and understanding their thoughts and feelings and actions. And then three, understanding your client better is how you start developing marketing messaging that resonates, to start building the community online and staying top of mind. And ultimately, we're doing all of these things to develop genuine relationships that last, that and also translate into referrals and revenue for you. So that's pretty much all that I have today. hopefully something I shared today resonated with you and was enlightening and insightful. And we'll open the floor up a few minutes for any questions any of you may have at this time.
I thought this was a great presentation because I think I do at least. I overthink my like content that I'm putting out on social media or in email campaigns. And I think your presentation really leans into the fact to just be yourself, to share, what you're doing in your life, because whatever you're doing around your house or your home or your community or your favorite coffee shop, or you mentioned like staying in a bed and breakfast, all these things are what we're doing on a daily basis, just like our clients, and to not get so in the weeds with only talking about homes and our transactions, because our clients are not dealing with homes and transactions like we are as real estate agents on like a daily, monthly basis. So it's a good reminder to just not overthink your content and to just be yourself to some degree.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And there's a saying that your vibe attracts your tribe. So whenever you're thinking about your ideal client and you're thinking about being yourself, those two things should naturally be in alignment. You shouldn't feel like you're forcing yourself to align with what your potential clients would like or expecting from you. It should all be very natural. And that's what real marketing is, because it, based on all of the data and all of the science behind it, it's so easy for marketing to be manipulative. But whenever it's in the right hands and it's done ethically, it's literally like matchmaking and dating. You
Yep.
have a client who has this need and needs a solution, and you're this agent with this solution. And the marketing is the bridge that helps me get to that potential client to tell them that I have that potential solution for them.
Yep. Yeah. No, 100%. Meet your clients where they're at, and they're doing all these other things and these local activities. And it's a really good point, because that's how you're going to get in front of them. Does anyone else have any comments or thoughts or questions before we hop off? No? All right. Well, Kendra, thank you so much for this presentation. I think it was so helpful, and it's a really great topic for any agent or entrepreneur that's looking to level up their marketing. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And I'll
Thank
send
you.
out a recording and then the marketing template that Kendra mentioned in her deck.
Perfect. Thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.